Shop, pay installments. That's right, guys. You now have the option in the Law Abiding Biker store to buy products right now, knowing that you can pay in 4 equal payments. That's right, interest-free. Hey, Buckaholics, 03D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson and a brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwing named Gold Strike. Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbike.com/store and check out our full line of Zero 3D products. Got an email if you want to handle that.
Oh, yeah. This is commenting on my retirement podcast. We got into a little bit of my law enforcement career here in the previous podcast to this one, actually. So this is from patron Lane Gustafson, and he says, I just finished listening to the podcast, and that's because as a patron member, you get that in the back end of your our patron website early. So he says, I just finished listening to the podcast, Lurch Retires. It was nice to hear about your law enforcement experience. I once thought I would like to be a policeman. I applied to a bunch of departments back in the mid-'70s, but it seemed like they all wanted a college degree. So because I didn't have one and I had a growing family, I wasn't able to get anywhere. I then applied for and got into the Snohomish County Sheriff's Department as a reserve officer. We were trained to carry a weapon and could take the place of a regular officer if they called in sick. The reserves were also used to patrol the Evergreen State Fairground in Monroe each year and other special situations. We would also ride as second officers in a patrol car. Though those 3 years taught me that the job isn't what I wanted for my family. However, I always felt an affinity for law enforcement. I want to thank you both for your service. He's talking about you too, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Lurch, I am impressed with yours. Well done. Thank you, Lane. I really appreciate that. lawabidingbiker.com/contact is how he hit us up. You can leave a email over there or voicemail right from your computer from anywhere in the world. That's right, and we can get you on the show. Want to ride longer? Yeah.
Tired of a sore and achy ass?
You know it.
Then fix it with a high-quality butt buffer seat cushion. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full lineup of butt buffer seat cushions. Oh, yeah, once you've had Rick Rack, you'll never go back. The ultimate motorcycle luggage rack solution. Forget those messy straps and bungee cords. Go strapless with a Rick Rack quick-attach luggage system and quality bag. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and get hooked up now.
Rick Rack.
Nice. Shall we do this?
Hell yeah.
Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority.
Also known as the 99%.
That's right. That's right. By being here, by listening, you're part of what we call the hashtag
Biker Revolution.
Mm-hmm. Before we get started, we usually have just one question for you. What are you waiting for, bikeaholics?
Mount up and let us take you on another wild-ass ride.
There you go. Welcome, guys. Ryan Erlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast and your
high-tech redneck.
Mm-hmm. And we do have Lurch in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh, doing it without the tune. Changing it up.
Acapella.
Acapella. Nice, nice. We've thanked Lurch for being here with me.
Glad to be.
On this beautiful morning, beautiful chilly morning. We have got a great episode for you guys lined up here. We are going to be talking to 3 representatives directly from Harley-Davidson on the new Harley Street Glide and Road Glide ST models. And we look forward to talking with them and learning about that new bike, because everybody knows we have the Street Glide, Road Glide, and then the special models, and then now introduced recently is the new ST models, and I know a lot of you probably have questions about it too. So that will be the main topic. We always like to mention a new free video. We are always putting them out. This one is how to remove and install a motorcycle fork cap bolt. And you can just go to lawabidingbiker.com/whatever episode number this is, and that video will be in the show notes because it is a rather long URL, but it will be there, and you can always search the website for that. It was a project Oscar and I were doing on front forks, and we did that little video, give you a little tips and tricks there on how to do that. And of course, we love our sponsors, paying sponsors up front of the show, but these people are also directly responsible for making this episode possible. We want to thank them. And Lurch, you want to go?
We'll start with Rudy Eckerman of Rowlett, Texas. He is a top-tier patron. Trent Lindbergh of Winter, North Dakota. And Mark Kenny of Liverpool, New York.
Jamie Jenkins of Elkwood, Virginia. Mark Fuentes of San Jose, California. And Sean King of Festus, Missouri. Right?
Yes, M.O., Missouri.
Missouri.
Then we also have Gary Neff of Cleveland, Georgia, top tier. Howard Dennis of Sandy Hook, Connecticut, top tier. And Al Hill of, right in our backyard, Mukilteo, Washington.
That is right. Lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. You pledge a certain amount per piece of content. No risk to you because you can put a monthly cap. There are benefits such as t-shirts and stickers. Of course, get in that private Facebook group, Troll-Free Zone. You can get access to podcasts and live video broadcasts early. Of course, access to our premium videos and those ride, meetup, and events. So there we go. Just want to thank those patrons for that. And Lurch, you got anything for? Should we just dive in?
I think we should just dive into it. I'm ready. Are you?
Well, I'm never ready, but I'm as ready as I'm going to be. So let's do this thing. To start, why don't we just go around and if each of you, Paul, Bjorn, and Eric in that order, if you guys could just introduce yourselves and basically what you do for Harley-Davidson.
All right, sounds good. Hey, I'm Paul James. I'm the PR manager for Harley-Davidson, and I'm responsible for global PR related to our products and services.
And Bjorn?
Hey guys, Bjorn Shuster. I'm a design manager in our styling and design department, and I oversee our Grand American Touring product.
Great. And Eric?
I'm Eric Buckhouse. I'm a technical lead in our product development area. So my background is engineering. I lead a team of engineers and designers on different projects such as the Touring ST models.
Very cool. So we're obviously here just talking about the new Street Glide and Road Glide ST bikes. Can you guys give us one of you give us an idea of how this actually started, how it kind of came to be, and maybe a timeline on how long it takes to do something like this, introduce a new model?
I'll start and I'll let these guys jump in. But first I'll say, as far as timelines go, I can't really reveal too much about our product development timelines and efforts, but this is something we've been watching in terms of the movement towards performance baggers. We've seen it in market. We've seen customers building these kind of bikes. We knew that when Moto America started the King of the Baggers racing series as a one-off exhibition race 2 years ago, and then last year being a 3-round series, we understood that would also light a fire and continue to inspire people, let's call it that, into building and leaning into performance on baggers. So I know Bjorn and Eric, you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, it's just kind of a swell that we've been seeing in the customer space where generations are starting to modify and customize FLs and traditional baggers in different ways, which really start to emphasize more of this performance nature. And to Paul's point, this kind of these trends and these movements have been swelling to the point of actually activating a race series. So we've been conscientiously observing this, and it's really exciting to be kind of getting into the space.
So it seems to me that you guys were obviously aware that there was a segment of the market that really wanted like a performance type bagger. There must have been some research that went into that.
Yeah, of course. Basically all of our new product programs are rooted in research and voice of customer. So, we've been watching the space. We had done research. We had talked to customers who were building these kind of motorcycles, and we wanted to give them a bit of a blank canvas, if you will. A bagger in the Road Glide ST and the Street Glide ST that really leaned into the idea of performance by giving them first, the 117 Milwaukee 8 powertrain, which is the largest production displacement powertrain that we offer. and then also, a taller rear shock, and a styling and a stance that is aggressive and is essentially a good starting point for a lot of people in terms of performance bagger. So,
backing up just a little bit, let's talk about some of the. This can open a can of worms, I know, but I want to break down some of the differences between, because we've already got our Road Glide Special, Street Glide Special, and all that. Now we have this new ST model, and you had mentioned that they're part of it. It's 1 inch taller. Can we talk about the major differences if someone's looking to buy a special versus that? And I'm sure that's going to generate a lot of questions once we start getting into that.
Yeah, I can go into that level of detail a little bit. So we already mentioned the Milwaukee 117 powertrain, and that also comes with the heavy breather. So it's shared with the other with the CVO models, very similar powertrain, but different finishes. So we've got bronze lower rockers on that. It's kind of a blacked out powertrain. The exhaust is tuned for this powertrain as well. Kind of picking up what the CVO had done with the 117 also. It has a different front fender than the other special models. It's a version of a P&A fender that we have, but we've changed the trim on it to kind of give it a lower profile and kind of a lighter weight look of the fender from what the specials have. The wheels are the Prodigy wheels in a unique finish with the bronze. We've matched a few of the inserts to the bronze as well. That's shared with the wheel and the powertrain finish. It's got a solo seat unique to the bike, kind of inspired by the drag bike. The bags, saddle bags themselves are not extended like the special models have. They're the shorter version. It helps give it that taller look. Also that you get with having the shock as well. And hidden antenna comes standard on the bike, just standard audio as well.
Okay. That does open up some questions. You have something, Matt?
Yeah, one in particular, as I've been doing some research on this, I have a special for you, just so you guys know, and it sits an inch lower, and I like the look of it, and I never really thought about the handling of a bike with an inch higher, like an Electric Glide or an Ultra. But in doing some of my research, some of the folks that have ridden one talk about they think it turns into corners better. Maybe from a engineering standpoint, maybe one of you can answer that. Excuse me. Does that 1 inch higher rear end help with the handling of the bike?
Yes, it does. We specifically had a conversation with our ride and handling team about that because there were some questions that came up around it before, and that person that we were talking to on that team did mention that specifically. The 1 inch taller travel just gave him specifically more confidence going into corners, so he could brake later, go in faster, especially on our handling tracks where we're doing a lot of that evaluation. Bike to bike and suspension to suspension, so you can know exactly how much better a system is doing. Just with the different tune and the added suspension travel, and the way the bike can just go into the corner. He specifically mentioned with that 1 inch taller travel, it definitely was more confidence inspiring, and he could go into turns a lot faster.
There's also an improvement in dynamic cornering capability in terms of lean angle. And it is something I've seen some people online comparing, how we measure lean angle between a special and these STs is using the SAE methodology, which compresses the front rear suspension at 75% and then gives you that number. By that measurement, there is no difference in lean angle. However, no one rides on that measurement, right? You're never at 75% compressed front and rear. So it's not a actual indicator of real world performance. So when you ride the motorcycle, you'd experience increased dynamic capability of enhanced lean angle and performance, just exactly as Eric describes.
Very cool. I'm going to back up just a little bit on when we talked about the tune of the motorcycle with the exhaust and the intake and all that. Is this coming kind of just with a canned, EFI map, or is there actually a tuner on the bike that a customer can change?
It comes with a canned calibration. And if a customer were to do additional engine upgrades, there's a tuner available through the accessories to change those calibrations. We have canned calibrations that are available through the dealer, and then with a tuner they could do some tuning on the bike themselves. But that does not come with the bike as stock.
Okay, Matt, you have anything?
Nothing else on that, but I am curious, and I think I know the answer, but I'd like to hear what they have to say. Did you guys take any inspirations from existing bikes in the fleet as you built out these STs, these baggers?
Are you searching for the easiest and quickest detachable luggage system for your motorcycle? Rick Rack has just what you're looking for. Forget all those frustrating straps and bungee cords that could come loose and slap your paint. Check out one of Rick Rack's awesome quick attach strapless luggage rack systems. This father-son team designed something really special that you can't find anywhere else. Yep, and these guys ride, so they truly understand the needs of bikers. The Rick Rack quick attach system is strong, durable, and secure with a lockable system. Also, check out their full line of quality touring bags to accompany your quick attach system. Once you use a Rick Rack, you'll never go back. What are you waiting for, Bikeaholics? Head over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our full line of Rick Rack systems and bags. That's lawabidingbiker.com/store.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that a little bit. The first thing you'll notice is that there's kind of a familiar aesthetic that goes across all of the STs. So the tank graphic, it shares that Harley-Davidson logo that you'll see on the lowrider and the lowrider ST, and that's actually the reason we chose that is it comes from our vintage racing heritage. I think it's like I want to say 1915. Off the top of my head. So that typeface and logo itself is very kind of rooted in our history of racing and performance. And then as Eric mentioned, there's kind of a bronze, powder bronze finish that's applied to the wheel and the engine finish. And that's kind of meant to, the inspiration for that came from, the magnesium racing wheels of the 60s. When you look at if you go back and look at Le Mans cars or, racing wheels from that era, a lot of them were just that raw magnesium look. So we were kind of taking cues from that, as well as, how that's paired with the blacked out engine, the gunship gray, just to create an overall, no nonsense, minimal performance look.
Now, we've read somewhere between the bike is somewhere between 11 or 13 pounds lighter, depending. What did you guys do to kind of achieve the lighter bike?
That largely came from the changes that we made on the back end with the bag change. There's some savings there. The rear fascia that was on the specials has a light in it, and this bike has the bullet turn signals. Removing the passenger pillion and the passenger pegs. There's some weight savings in the front fender.
Saddlebag.
Yeah, the saddlebags. Yep. Going from the extended to the short. So that stuff starts to add up pretty quick, and that's how we were able to get that savings.
Okay. And when you say the shorter saddlebag, just for the audience, you're talking about basically the bags that wrap around the exhaust a little bit. You just
put them. The extended bags, the standard bags that don't wrap around the exhaust.
Good.
And I imagine that helps with laying angle as well.
It does, absolutely.
Okay. One of the things I noticed, and you mentioned it there, was the rear fascia is different. You don't have the tri-bar and the fillers. Was that for clearance? Was it for weight? Or why did you guys decide to go with that more of a electric guide standard rear end versus a special rear end?
I can take that. It kind of feeds into that overall philosophy of removing, stripping the bike down and really, keeping the ethos, as simple and pure as possible. Kind of an automotive analogy that I would use is if you think about like the early 60s prior to the muscle car, when you wanted to get the biggest motor, it usually those companies were, you had to spec the automobile out at the highest level. So you were only getting, the big block if you got the full trim package, and that sort of started to change in the mid to late 60s when companies started to offer, specific performance packages where it was like, okay, now you can get a GTO with a big motor in it and it's stripped down, it's a drag pack, that kind of thing. So very much along that philosophy, like we wanted to offer, the big motor and really, focus on this bike being performance oriented.
If you look at the King of the Baggers race bikes in the grid, for example, guys, I mean, they are no nonsense, right? Mm-hmm. And that's more of a look that that you would see, right? Where you've got the shorter bags and a more naked rear end in that performance look. And then we know that's what customers are striving for in the space, is more of a performance look.
Yeah, we noted on the rear, obviously, like Matt said, it has the cutout instead of the filler panels. Was that specific for like add-on parts or anything, or that's just what you wanted to use? You know what I'm talking about? The filler panels between the bags. It's kind of cut out like a Ultra. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Go ahead, Bjorn.
Oh, yeah, you can run with it.
I was just going to say, that's just how we chose the look to be back there. Removing the fascia. We didn't really just want to add something back in just to add a part. So we left it open.
Okay. And so this bike obviously coming out, with a performance bagger like this, it's performance the way it is, but can you guys talk about maybe some of the add-on parts? Because I'm certain from what we've seen, there's a whole performance bagger trim kit, some of the things that somebody might want to do to upgrade this bike even further.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like this is a really great foundation, right? So customer could come in and there's a lot of things in the P&A catalog, for example, that they can lean into to take it even further. In terms of what you see out in the customer realm, a lot of guys like to go to they like to increase the performance even more beyond the 117, and you can do that with stage kits. You can open up the exhaust. A lot of folks like to lean into collections, whether they be like the modifying the floorboards, grips, levers, and typically, what we see in the customer space is there's always an aesthetic to that that's kind of stays in line with that. It's kind of an aesthetic based around go as much as it is show. So the parts are obviously lightweight, a lot of anodizing, just real pure and simple mods.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, what these customers are looking for, and first and foremost, it's performance, right? So as they think about how they want to add, additional performance, you've got everything from, a 131 crate motor or the 131 kit to build out the powertrain, different exhaust options, and all kinds of other kind of componentry that we thought kind of fits, the look and feel of the motorcycle, from, high flow air cleaners to these new Screaming Eagle Öhlins rear shocks, to the low profile windshield. And then, we have other parts and accessories collections that we thought kind of fit the look, right? Like the Dominion collection with the mirrors and the grips and the really aggressive looking rider floorboards. Those are all the kinds of, componentry that a customer could add to kind of continue that theme.
And you brought up the Öhlins shocks, and I don't know the engineering behind it, so I'm hopeful that one of you guys with the engineering background can kind of explain it to our audience. But what does those remote reservoirs in those shocks, how do they really work, and what's the benefit to them? And
now, to make sure we know, those are like add-on accessory. So
that's an available accessory component, correct? That we developed, actually, the race team developed along with Öhlins techs. And so they started with essentially a setup on the race bike, the King of the Baggers race bike, that is extremely similar to what we're selling for customers to add to their motorcycles. So they're completely adjustable. It provides for different adjustability, not only just for preload for a different weight or performance, but also for compression damping and rebound damping. And then the remote reservoirs, that adds additional hydraulic fluid to the shock absorber, which helps maintain consistent performance in really aggressive high performance riding conditions. So it's essentially the same basic shock setup that the race team developed last year in King of the Baggers. And Eric, feel free to chime in.
Oh no, you hit it exactly right. I don't think I could add anything.
Yeah, so it's a really trick component. They look trick. Having the high pressure nitrogen gas charge design, I mean, it's a look, right? But it's also a very functional performance add-on, and with the credibility of being developed on the race bike, between the race team and our racers, Kyle Wyman and Travis Wyman, their feedback to the Oleans engineers to develop that component that basically bolts right up and provides that kind of performance.
So what I'm hearing, and not just to put it in simple terms for our audience, that the reservoir gives you more fluid, which I assume is going to make it smoother, perform better, but also having more fluid is probably going to not heat up and lose its ability to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
in simple terms.
Yeah, if you think about if we say a shock, right? It's composed of a spring, and then the damper in the middle is what controls what Paul was mentioning, the compression and the rebound. And in a given package, that central part of the shock, it's only so big. So these higher end performance remote reservoir rear shocks, they just give you a lot more volume. And then another component of that is a lot of times it will put the adjustability of that shock in a area that's accessible. So rather than having to take a component off the bike to get at your adjustment, it's usually right there. So that's another added advantage of it. And that, as Paul mentioned, there's just sort of like this. There's a real look to it where you see these overt reservoir cans, but it's completely rooted in form following function.
Yep. That extra, fluid helps you resist heat fade, and when a shock is really working in an aggressive environment, and that oil heats up, it can start to lose its ability to provide the proper damping. So that's why that extra fluid is important.
Are you searching for new and exciting motorcycle products? Then Zero 3D has just what you're looking for. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Zero 3D's got your back with chrome, lighting, and comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for a super easy installation. That equals less time installing, guys, more time riding. Zero 3D has a design team with over 40 years experience with a passion for design and innovation. These guys are bikers and care about bikers just like you guys. That's right. They pride themselves on the best of customer service. Got a question? Get in touch with them via email, sales@zero3d.com, or give them a call at 715-808-0027. Zero 3D is distributed in the United States by Drag Specialties, in Europe by Parts Europe and Zodiac, and in Asia by Twin Art. Of course, don't forget to check your Harley-Davidson dealership and ask for Zero parts. Head over there right now. Check them out, lawabidingbiker.com/Zero, CIRO, and tell them that the Law Abiding Biker crew sent you. Very cool. Good explanation. That helps both of us because we both were talking about that the other day. So let's talk about, I know we did a little bit, but graphics and paint. Talk about maybe the tank graphics, because those are kind of specific. We haven't seen those necessarily. We've seen them in the past, and the overall paint choices, because there are less paint choices than on the special, and they're kind of subdued paint schemes, which they both look really cool. I'm just curious how those decisions, or why those decisions were made.
Yeah, leaning into, with the STs, we kind of really wanted to create a family of bikes. So, you've got this transitions into the Softail line with the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST. and then obviously into the FLs with these two models. And really we're placing the value or the emphasis on this bike in its performance nature. So it's geared more towards a customer that's going to choose it, based on those aspects, like the motor, like the simplicity of it, versus, another model may lean more into paint, for example. But this customer, we really feel like, the attraction to this model is the performance attribute. And we wanted the paint to kind of convey that, just to be simple and pure. And like I said, that logo, that typeface on the tank, that really is, something that goes all the way back to the beginning days of our racing.
We also noticed that the engine guards are a lot shorter on the STs and the specials this year, and I think the CVOs as well. Was that up for look, or was it for weight, or how did you guys come up with that design?
Yeah, that was something we introduced in the specials last year. The low profile engine guard, just to change, give that bike just a different change and more aggressive look. Same thing with the LED lighting that we put on the and the low profile console. Those were both adds to the specials last year, and that carried over into the STs this year.
Okay. And also, both, can you maybe talk about this a little bit? I know these decisions, I'm sure it's tough to make these decisions, but we're coming with only the black model, no chrome. Was there a reason for that? No chrome model of the ST?
It's kind of that same, philosophy, like as I was mentioning with the muscle cars, right? It's like that stripped down, your kind of your track pack, your drag pack. And it's in the same vein that those customers, probably didn't want the chrome trim running along the body side. We kind of feel it's the same with these guys. Like, no, nothing ancillary, just a bike, purebred, pure purpose performance.
Yeah.
It's a no-nonsense look, guys, right? And racers don't polish their motorcycles. These are performance motorcycles, and that kind of fits the mindset of that type of a customer.
Yeah, I agree. They look badass the way they are, and I figured that. I just wanted to explain to the audience, because we read a lot of stuff online, and people make comments and stuff, so we're trying to answer some of those questions. But I totally get why that is. Matt, does that bring up anything for you?
Another thing I'll just add to that color point, Ryan, if you look at another thing that we've kind of been seeing a lot, I'd say in it started off in kind of the custom car scene, and it's really evolved into some of the palettes that you kind of look at in the automotive space, where there's been a real strong prevalence of these kind of solid opaque hues. If you think about some of the colors that you see on Porsches and Audis, and even in the performance Ford space, where it's kind of this shift away from really overt metallic paint and to these opaque solids, where the color is just it's a subtler expression, right?
So obviously we've been talking about this bike quite a bit, and it's really focused on the performance. And I think may have glossed over it a little bit earlier, but we did mention that it has the 117 in it. Can one of you guys, maybe for our audience that's thinking about, should I get a special or should I get a ST? What's some of the difference between the 114 and the 117 as far as maybe horsepower, torque, that kind of stuff?
Eric, you want to convey a little bit of the performance differences that a customer is going to feel from the seat of the pants? There
you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 117 versus the 114 that's in the specials, it's got the different camshafts, different piston cylinders to get the displacement, the heavy breather intake, and the tuned exhaust that's shared with the CVO models. So I was just trying to do the math in my head really quick for the percentage. But hang on. So yeah, we go from 97 horsepower to 106. So you're basically gaining 10 horsepower, and 118 to 127 for foot-pounds of torque. So not quite 10%, but you definitely feel it. The torque is right where you want it with the increase. And it is noticeable, especially with the freer flowing intake that goes with it.
When you're riding side by side with your buddy who's got the 114 and you've got the 117, you're gonna pull away, right? That's just the reality of that 10% more power. You'll feel the difference. I noticed it when we were out. I was riding with the Wymans at our press ride, and even though I'm a little heavier than those guys, I was able to pull away with a 117 if they run a 114. So it's one of those things that, again, for this type of customer, they're leaning into performance. They want performance first. And that's the mindset of a performance bagger rider, right?
Yeah, it's also that taller shock, as Eric and Paul were mentioning, like the bike's just going to feel a little bit more planted mid-corner. It's going to have a slightly different characteristic. But, between a special and this, a lot of that comes down to the customer preference, right? I mean, maybe if the guy is already, he's dragging his floorboards all the time and he rides his special aggressively, this is the perfect bike for him to step into. On the other hand, if the customer values more of the bright bike and the style of a special, it's kind of like wardrobe, what you choose to wear that day. But the nice thing is we offer this range.
What's been so far, Paul, maybe you can answer this, or I guess any of you, but what's been the overall, how did you market it different, or what's been the overall reaction to the new STs? Ride longer and treat your ass with some respect already. Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital-grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials, and it's unlike those gel pads that will leak if punctured. The butt buffer is designed not to slide around in your seat, fits all motorcycles, installs in seconds, easily cleans, and helps to dampen vibrations. With plenty of models to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass when riding. Head over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our lineup of butt buffer seat cushions.
Yeah, it's been solid. I think people understand the connectivity from the STs to performance. They understand the connectivity towards even the lowrider ST and lowrider S in terms of stance and look. And certainly when you start to show these bikes, the Road Glide ST, especially alongside the King of the Baggers race bike, people get it. They totally get where it's aimed at. And the things you're asking us are the same things a lot of customers, we've heard the same things, right? Why should I get this bike over a special? Or, tell me more about kind of this new kind of genre, if you will, of touring bikes. There's a lot of excitement about it. So it is fun to see people kind of getting their heads around it. And even when we did, put some media on the bike, I think they start to really understand this is really a different world, right? It's a different mindset and a different type of customer. And so it's fun to see people kind of, I guess the light bulbs go off and get excited about it.
Yeah, launching, at the media launch that Paul mentioned, at the, participating and doing those activities at a track, I think it's starting to highlight to people, actually how capable these bikes are. And they've always been capable, but now that we're kind of going into this ST variant, we're sort of promoting that and highlighting it and giving folks the opportunity to experience that. And it's really neat to see people's kind of those expectations and see them realized.
Yeah, the bones of a touring motorcycle, they're really good. If you think about it, these King of the Bagger motorcycles, they make upwards over 150 horsepower, right? 120 foot-pounds of torque at a minimum at every RPM, right? And they're using a stock frame. And they played a lot with steering geometry with an adjustable triple clamps, and they ended up essentially in the same stock steering angle and geometry. So that tells you a lot about the bones of these motorcycles and how good they are in terms of how well they handle. And because they went from there and they just stripped all the weight they could off the bikes, and they added the 131 crate Screaming Eagle engine, and then took it a step further and started modifying with some additional race parts. And so, again, stripping all this weight off, adding all this horsepower, and the bones of that bike is able to not only manage it, but manage it very well. Kyle Wyman rode at Indy Motorsports Ranch on that track on his 22 bike that he's going to race at Daytona in a couple weeks. He got within 4 seconds of the outright track record that's set by a full-on superbike on that course.
Wow.
So think about that for a second. You're talking about a 635-pound touring motorcycle with a stock frame getting within 4 seconds of the outright track record on a 21-turn, 2.7-mile course that a superbike set. That's pretty impressive, and it says a lot about the bones and the structure of these bikes and just how good they are as motorcycles.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see that connection be so close. You know, I mean, if you think about, you know, NASCAR has nothing to do with a you know, Camaro or a Mustang. It's just it's a shell placed on top of a full tubular race car. But as Paul mentioned, like when you look at a King of the Baggers race bike, it's like, no, that architecture, the fundamental architecture is exactly the same thing.
Yep. Just taken down to its bare essence in a most performance way by adding as much power into a, you know, relatively, you know, stock configuration, if you will, right? It's still a Milwaukee 8 motor just pushed, and a frame that's stock and a steering geometry that's essentially the same, and you know, just pushed the envelope a little further. And it is pretty impressive. And you see those guys out there. That race series is going to grow to 6 rounds this year. So it's doubling the number of rounds they're going to be at. And they're going to add a double header at Daytona. So at Daytona Bike Week, when you'll see, you know, 20 Harleys and Indians facing off each other there and roaring around the high banks, it's going to be an amazing sight to behold. And again, it just leans into this basically movement that's happening. It's going to inspire even more people to get excited about performance baggers.
Ryan and I have been riding baggers for several years now, and know that they're quite capable. I bet at the press events, or as you've been going around, it must be really interesting to get somebody on one that hasn't ridden a bagger before and really can see what they can do.
Yeah, that's true. We, in fact, for one of the waves of our press event, we had journalists get a chance to throw a leg over the King of the Bagger race bike. And so for those media, they were highly qualified, in most cases, fully race licensed journalists, many of whom don't really have bagger experience, if you will. They're sport bike guys, right? So for them to ride the race bike and then also the STs on the racetrack and on the street, definitely eyes were opened. And people were kind of like, you just see, I guess, the awakening that happened about, man, this thing is pretty cool. It's crazy, and it's cool at the same time. And so they're starting to understand, I guess, the same way that we know that these bikes are fun to ride. Touring bikes are fun to ride, and in certain people's mindset is every bike's a sport bike. Right? I'm going to ride hard no matter what I'm on. And the feedback you get and the stability and the beauty of these motorcycles is they can do a lot of things. And they do a lot of things well.
Yeah, I think you're going to change the paradigm a little bit here with these, because there are those folks out there that think that baggers are for touring or they're for old guys, but they definitely are not. So it's really cool to see you guys go into this space and make these performance baggers. I think they're going to do well, and I can't wait to get my leg over one.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say we may have breezed over it a little bit for the audience, but these are full touring. Obviously, we're still, coming with the cruise control and boombox infotainment system and all that kind of stuff. So full tour, even though it's performance, we're not stripping out anything there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. And, if somebody wanted to, they could put the passenger seat back on and add detachables with a tour bag. I mean, they could make it a full touring bike also, and then strip all that stuff off and still have their performance bagger.
Okay, very cool. Is there anything that we didn't ask that you think the audience should know that we missed?
God, I can't think of anything. We covered a lot of ground. These are cool bikes, and we're super excited for people to kind of see them up close and personal. We've got Daytona Bike Week coming up. We'll have plenty of bikes down there for people to demo and experience for themselves. As well as I mentioned, the King of the Baggers race series kicks off at Daytona with a double header. So they'll be racing at the Speedway. They qualify on Thursday, and then they race on. They have a double header, so they have a race on Friday, and they have a race on Saturday, right there at Daytona Speedway. And there'll be a ton of riders in town, and just excited to see a lot of people to kind of check out performance baggers and check out the scene.
off the top of your head, for the audience, where can they watch those if they're not able to get down to Daytona? Is there a channel or something or a streaming service that'll be shown on?
Yeah, actually, if you go to motoamerica.com, you can watch live streaming of the races, and that's MOTOAMA or AMERICA, motoamerica.com, so they can watch all the races live, including the Daytona 200 and all the bagger racing.
Very cool. We definitely appreciate everybody's time and for answering our questions. It was great having you on the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Ryan. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.
There we go. Lurch, what a great conversation.
Oh yeah, I love talking to those guys, especially
yeah.
Paul. We've had the opportunity to meet Paul and talk to him in the past.
Yeah, wealth of knowledge. Hopefully you guys appreciate the episode and learn something about the new ST models directly from Harley representatives. So we definitely thank those guys for taking the time to have a chat with us. Call to action. You got any call to action?
Oh yeah, let's do the Amazon. You want to support us? Well, there's a way you can do it. Head on to Amazon and just click through our banner. I think it's called banners.
Yep, lawabidingbiker.com/banners or lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon. Either way.
Go. And click through and just bookmark that thing. That's what I do because I don't own the company. I can do that. So every time I go to Amazon, I click on my bookmark. It goes right through and puts the little secret coding in there so we get credit for it. No additional cost to you at all, but we get a little taste. And that taste is putting fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank and helping us keep going on down the road.
Yep, very well said. Yep, just bookmark that bad boy. And yeah, it's an affiliate link. All our affiliate links are over at lawabidingbiker.com/banners. All right, good conversation.
Can't wait to get my hands on one and rip on it and see,
yeah,
see
buddy.
what it feels like. It's got me thinking about my rear suspension now.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, you can always support us. You can't, support us financially. We get it. But you can always rate us, whatever podcast platform you're listening on, and give us a 5-star review. That's right. So more bikers around the world can find us and join this thing we call
The Biker Revolution.